cover Bitcoin here. As you guys can see, we are at 68.9K. So that was a pretty big drop. We went below the 65K support that I was expecting, and we went all the way down to 60K. Now, I wasn't really expecting the 60K support. So we're going to talk about what happened here, and we're going to talk about what I think might happen next from here. Remember, I'm not a financial advisor, none of this financial advice. Let's get straight into this. So, like I mentioned before, I wasn't expecting the 60K support, but if you did watch the video in full, you did see me mention that if 65K is broken, then we're more likely coming down to 60K and eventually 50K. And unfortunately, that is a possibility. Now, remember, things never go all the way down completely. Like, things never like completely go straight down, right? Like, they go down, they go sideways a little bit, and then they go down more or up more, whatever. But they rarely go all the way down and just continue to go down and down and down. So that is something that you need to remember. Like, things rarely will just keep going down until infinity, right? So that is something that you have to keep in mind. Now we're gonna go and bring this all the way up here to 60K. So right now we got this at 60K, and if you come back here and you look at this, you can see we had 60K support multiple times back here. So a little bit of support here on 60K, a little bit of support here, a little bit of support here, a little bit of support here, and then we have 60K as resistance. So it's not far-fetched that we actually hit 60K. So that was always a possibility. Then we have some more support. So you can see like 60K is definitely in the books, right? It was definitely in the books for us. And if you come back here and look at the previous run back in 2021, you can see 60K was also a very significant resistance level that we hit multiple times, and we've used it as support before. So in resistance here. So as you can see, 60K is definitely a milestone for us. So what do I think is going to happen now? Remember, I mentioned 50K. Now look, things rarely ever just go straight down and just continue on a straight downward path, right? They really rarely ever do that. A lot of times we will have these relief rallies. So what is up? There's a possibility that we could see something like this, right? Where we could come down and have a huge dump, right? Bottom out, and then have a relief rally. And maybe that next relief rally could be a bull trap where it gets like a huge, like a huge pump. So that's going to be what we have to try to battle this time. Now, there's no telling if it's going to be the same as last time, right? It's almost impossible to tell if things will be the same as, the previous times. But what we can do is try to predict, how it's going to look. But if you think about it, we're already so far from the top at this point. Like, we've pulled back so much. If you take this from the all-time high and you bring it all the way down to 60K, we went down 52%. So if we lost 52%, we went down 52% already. That is already a huge dump in itself. If you come back here to the last bear market, when we topped out with this bull market and we went all the way down here, this was about what was that, 76%. So if we had a 76% drop on that last run, this one might be similar. It also might be around 76. We've only dropped 50% so far. So if we only dropped 50% so far, we have some more ways to go. Now, the other time back here in 2018, when you look at that bear market, let's scroll in and look at this. So when you look at the 2018 bear market, you can see we came all the way down 83% from the top. So give or take, we're probably going to do anywhere from 70 to 80% of a drop. And I would just put it in the middle and say 75K. Or not 75K, 75%. So I think that we might actually have a 75% drop coming inside of Bitcoin. And I've been saying anywhere from 30K to 50K being the bottom. When you do the math and you bring this all the way down 75%, give or take, what do you get? You get around 30K. So remember the other one was 76%. The same exact one actually as last time, 76.96%. That's how much I think it was at last time. But look, 29.1K, that's exactly where this support line is. And if you look, it's right above that the 15K bottom that we had before, but it's 100% above it, right? So this is definitely a possibility. This is definitely a possibility. And when we had that pullback before that relief rally and then the bull trap, that was 30K. So I think 30K is still going to be the bottom for us. I think we have some ways to go and we have some time. So it wouldn't be too far fetched to see a breakout, like a temporary breakout, possibly getting up to 80 something K, maybe even a bull trap, like a super bull trap, like going up to 106K, even a super duper bull trap where we get up to 126K, even up to like 150K, right? Anything could happen at this point. So I'm not here to give you guys any predictions and tell you guys what is going to happen because nobody knows what's going to happen. Nobody knows at all. At this point, I've predicted enough, right? I predicted enough and I'm done with the predictions. I've mentioned the pullbacks and the supports here and we've hit them flawlessly. But at this point is where my predictions stop because after we have went down so far, you can't expect it to just go straight down. Things rarely ever go straight down. They go down, they go up, they go down, they go up, they go all around, right? They rarely ever go straight down. And if you look at what we've had so far, it's been straight down. So eventually you're going to end up getting a relief rally. So we had this go straight down. Then we had a bull flag or a bear flag. And then we continued downwards from there. So if you look here at the bear flags, it's a bearish pattern. So we've already kind of went through that bearish pattern there. It's not too far fetched to think that we would have a breakout from here. So I think a breakout could be coming soon. So a breakout relief rally. What happens there? I don't know. Maybe it gets up to 80K. Watch my previous videos. I did a whole breakdown. Maybe it gets up to 80K, maybe above 80K. I don't know. Any of that's possible. But for me, I was looking at this like it should have stopped at 70K, but it didn't. But then I mentioned if it broke 70K, 65K came next. And I mentioned 60K, 50K. Look, if we break 60K, we have to expect 50K. Why are we going to expect 50K? Because on the way up here to the top of this rally, 50K was a significant support. 50K was a significant resistance. So 50K is significant. In the last bull run, going into the last bear market, we actually had a head and shoulders pattern where 50K was the shoulder and neckline. This is the neckline of a head and shoulders pattern. If you look over here, this is the head and shoulders pattern. And then where you see the line there, that's the neckline. So the thing that you got to watch out for here is going to be 50K next. That's what you're going to want to pay attention to because boom, left shoulder, head, right shoulder, and then it dumps from there. So we want to watch out for 50K next. If we are to get a massive relief rally, the massive relief rally either starts now or one more flash crash down to 50K. Now, this huge green candlestick on this daily chart is showing that buyers do not want this to go below 60K. Buyers bought it up immediately. Like sellers tried to push it down, but buyers immediately bought it up at 60K. But if we go down to 60K, my bet is that 50K will be that bottom for a massive relief rally. I'll tell you now, I didn't buy at 60K. I didn't buy at 60K. But if we hit 50K, I'm literally going all in. I'm going all in if we hit 50K. I'm going all in, and I'm not buying altcoins. I'm going all in on Bitcoin. So, and I'm not going to be holding it for a long time either. If we hit 50K, I'm going all in, and then I'm getting out at like 70K. All right. I think that is a possibility that we do that. And when we come to the bottom of this Fibonacci here, now I know I gotta create another Fibonacci. That's neither here nor there right now though. Actually, we can do that while we're making the video. Screw it, like why not? But look, the reason why I say this is if we go down here to 50K, that's obviously a significant support. It's significant to everything. If you look, I don't know how much I have to express this, but it was the bottom support over here. It would be the obvious level for us to hit would be 50K. It would be the most obvious level if we continue downwards. I don't even know if we'll continue downwards or not, but if we do, 50K technically is 49.5. If you look back at this support, technically is 49.5. So if you see it break 50K very briefly, 49.5, and you can see it right down there. So technically, but I'm not being technical with it because the second I see 50, I'm buying it up because we've already went straight down for so long. Eventually, it's going to get bought up. Eventually, it's going to get bought up. And if we did something like going from 50K up to 70K, that would be a 38% gain. Now, 38% gains is it's not going to be anything significant for people with small money, right? But if you have a bigger money, 38K then becomes significant. For instance, if you had 10K and you got 38%. No, I kept saying 38K. I didn't mean 38K. I meant 38%. But if you had 10K, 38% is 3,800. If you had 20K, 38% will then become larger than that. So we'll take 20 times 1.38. That would be 27.6K. So you'll get 7,600 off of that. So 38% could be a significant trade for people who are trading larger amounts. And that's why I say if we hit 38K, it would definitely be in a lot of people's best interest. Or not 38K. If we hit 50K, then a 38% trade would be good. And I know I probably just messed that whole segment up, but for the people who can read between the lines and know exactly what I was saying, like 50%. So yeah, 50K. Look, guys, the only way I can make these videos for you guys, I'm inside the Philippines. It's nighttime for me when it's daytime for you guys. It's 1:45 a.m. over here. So you can obviously see I'm already half asleep and this is daytime for you guys. So this is the only way I can make the videos where people actually see the videos at the times where they actually matter. I can't be putting videos out at 1:45 p.m. Philippines times because that's gonna be midnight for you guys. So I'm trying to get these videos out at a good time for you guys. So it's a 1:45 a.m. right now, and people are partying outside, and I can't go to sleep. But anyways, look, 50K. If we hit 50K, my personal trade that I'm going to take is going to be a 38% trade up to 70K from 50K. And then I had to get out there. It might continue upwards higher from 50K past 70K. It might do that. But I'm not here to make that bet. I'm not here to make that bet. I don't care. I'm just trying to do these smaller trades like this. So what I'm saying here is I think 50K is a possibility. So let's go ahead and go over some technicals here. But before we do that, I want to bring this Fibonacci down here because this is the next swing low that we're looking at. If we're looking at it from this perspective, when you zoom in, where was this support? Now this is where things can be tricky. So let me go ahead and take off all these drawings here. Like no more Mr. Nice Guy, right? We're taking off all these drawings that I drew myself there. So when we pulled back to this support at 80K, that was right at the Fibonacci level. When we broke this level here, that's when we had a speed up inside of our drawdown. I don't think it's done. Personally, I don't think it's done until it hits 50K right now, because it just doesn't sit right with me. When you look back here and you look at the bottom support here, 50K, 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 50K. I can't stress it enough. 50K, 50K. Because look, once we had the bear market over in 2018 going into 2022, once that full bear market was over, we actually started to speed up. And this was a long bear market, or not necessarily a long bear market, but it was a year, right? It was a whole year. 2020, all 2022, it was a bear market, right? And then the second it hit 2023, it was a bull market. But we didn't really have our point of contingency and confluence until we finally hit this area right here, the bull flag. Until we hit this bull flag area, we didn't necessarily have a huge drawdown and a huge pullback. That was the first one of this bull run that we were just in. And the reason why it's so significant is because the bottom of that area is 50K. So I think that we have more pullbacks until 50K. And then we should have a relief rally, right? We should have a nice relief rally from 50K all the way up to like 70K, possibly even up to 80K. But I don't know if it'll go past that. And then I think we'll have a slow pullback down to 30K. And then at the end of 2026, we'll be completely bottomed out. And then going into 2027, we'll be starting the new bull market. So let me just kind of break it down for you inside of the most simple way possible here. So, boom. This is what I think is happening right now, currently as we're speaking. I think we come here, we dump, we go to 50K. Boom. We have a recovery up to about 80K. Boom. Right? I'm going to keep saying boom. And then we have a slow pullback and a slow drawdown, and we complete our bear market cycle. We go down to 40K. Boom. We go down all the way down to 29K. We do some false breakouts or something, and we just trade around this area, right? And then eventually, at the end of 2026, going into 2027, you can look at the time frame on the bottom. Then we start to recover. Then we start to have our breakouts. Then for 2027, we're beginning our new bull market. So this is pretty much how I think the rest of this year is going to play out. Now, can we get above this level? Possibly. We possibly can end up getting above this level. We can possibly see us getting above 80K on our relief rally. Maybe we'll get up to 100K on the relief rally. But that doesn't matter. What actually matters is how is the rest of the year going to play out. And I think the rest of the year is going to play out pretty bearish. So yeah, that's just how I see it. 50K I think will come soon. Now, a few things that kind of invalidate what I'm saying. This is the daily chart, by the way. If you look at the percent R trend exhaustion, it's already bottomed out here. It's already oversold. It could start to do a swift recovery right here, and we might not even have the chance to hit 50K before the next relief rally. Like this might be the start of the next relief rally. Like we might actually be in the start of the next relief rally. RIP to the people that can't, watch the full video because of something. Because, whatever. My laptop almost died there. But RIP to the people that can't make it into the full video because as you guys can see with my video, it's like the crescendo effect, right? Like it's going through, but it's not really, you're not really gonna get the full idea of how I trade unless you watch the full thing. Because yeah, maybe we've already bottomed out and maybe we're having the relief rally now. And if someone didn't stay to watch that part and then we actually have the relief rally, they're gonna be like, well, you just said it's gonna dump. No, you didn't watch the full video. There's a possibility that it might not do that because like we're already oversold here on the percent R trend exhaustion. We've already bottomed out. This right here is usually a buy signal, but once that blue arrow comes up, then that's like almost like the official buy signal. But sometimes we have false breakouts. We had one back here. 3 blue arrows had to be spawned before it actually went up. 3 of them. So we'll have to see how it plays out. But personally, and my personal opinion doesn't matter. This is just me. Personally, I think we come down to 50K. But still, there's things that can invalidate my whole thesis there. So we're also looking down here. We had something similar right here, and then we had that breakout. We had bullish divergence, right? And then over here, you can kind of see bearish divergence on the MACD that immediately started to come, and then bearish divergence. Where's my divergence chart? There's my divergence chart. So you can see the bullish divergence, bearish divergence uh, on the moving average convergence divergence. So yeah, it's a whole tongue twister. But look, if we start to get bullish divergence here, then we'll end up seeing buying pressure, right? We'll see some buying pressure coming in, and it'll look something like this. And then we'll see a little bit more buying pressure, and then we'll see selling pressure. And then that would confirm that this is the process of our relief rally. And then it'll be another dump. But if that's not true and we continue to get more selling pressure, then that could be what pushes us to 50K before the next pump. But I can say one thing. I think if we hit 50K, I don't think we're going to keep dumping and dumping and dumping and dumping and dumping, right? So also the liquidations that we've had are actually more than what we had back in the FT, almost more actually. I think I seen something that was like a different price point. I'm not even going to try to remember what it was, but like we almost had the same amount of liquidations as the FTX crash. So this is the third largest liquidation wipe in crypto history. So this is actually pretty bad, and it's gonna get worse and worse every time because, as you know, like more money is always going to be flowing into these different assets as they keep printing more money. So yeah, we'll see. Some people are super bullish already, and some people are already predicting that this is the relief rally. And I like to be I like to be on the other side of things. I like to be the I forgot what they call it, but I'm going against everyone, right? I'm going against everyone. Like everyone is like, all right, now we're gonna get this huge relief rally. I'm like, let's hit 50K. Let's hit 50K, and not just because I want to go against everyone, but because I'm looking at it and I'm like, 50K is the bottom support. Why would we not stop at the bottom support before the actual relief rally? This is not the actual relief rally, in my opinion, until we hit bottom support. We hit bottom support, then we have actual relief rally. But we've only went halfway through, and people are like, "Oh, huge relief rally." Look, I think we're gonna get bull trapped here. I think we're gonna get bull trapped. I think something like this is gonna form, right? Right, something like this. And what is that? That's a bear flag. That is a bear flag. Classic case of a bear flag. So if something like this happens, we could be in the process of forming another bear flag. What happened in the last bear flag? And it could be a bear pennant also. But what happened in the last bear flag that we had? Well, this one was a rising wedge. Rising wedges are also bearish patterns. So rising wedges are technically bear flags. They're just shaped a little bit differently. But look, this was a rising wedge slash bear flag. And what happened? Well, we kept dumping. So if this happens again, what do you think happens again? We just keep dumping from there. So let's see if this is what happens. There's a reason I haven't bought yet. Because I want to buy at the best possible price. I'm not trying to lose a bunch of money. I've been inside of these dumps for so long that this doesn't even affect me anymore. But what I will say here, actually, with this here, it does look like we are building a lot of buying pressure. So we could still continue to increase in price. But again, we're building a bear flag. So let's see if it actually is a bear flag. So that's what I got for that. And then when we look at the weekly chart, all of this selling pressure is not over. It's not over. So when we finally get the relief rally, it'll look something like this. And then we'll end up having more selling pressure going into the end of the year. And then we'll finally be oversold. And then we start having our bull market. And look, this is the weekly chart. It looks exactly like this. That's exactly what happened last time. And then you can see, boom, relief rally right here, relief rally right here, boom, a little bit of a relief rally right here again, boom, more selling, a little bit of a relief rally, more selling, and then it finally takes off. And then if you go back and you look at what happened in 2022, is exactly what the MAC or is exactly what the percent R trend exhaustion is showing. You're seeing the actual trend as it's being created. You're seeing the actual trend in real time on the percent R trend exhaustion. That's why I actually love the percent R trend exhaustion, because look, you have the pullback, relief rally, and a bunch of different relief rallies. After that, you have this relief rally, boom. I guess you can call it a micro relief rally there, and then dump, and then it finally takes off. So yeah, this is pretty much all I got for you guys today. Hit the like button, subscribe, all that good stuff. Remember, I'm not a financial advisor. None of this is financial advice. And actually, before we end this off, usually whenever this happens right here, more selling pressure is coming. More. That's why it's becoming dark red again. Light red whenever buying is coming in, and it switches back to dark red whenever selling is coming back in. So we have more pain to go through. And yeah, but yeah, this is pretty much all I got for you guys today. Hit the like button, subscribe. Remember, I'm not a financial advisor. None of this financial advice, all that good stuff. And as always, I'll be back with another video.